Okay, so the next thing that I would like to add to our game is the pen that the fox are going to live in. And I've made this a template so that we can easily get it where we need it, but that's all it is right now. It's just a template that's divided into a pet yard, which is the spots where you put the pet, the actual fence geometry, and some invisible collision for where the fence geometry is. Notice that the stuff that's just decorative art, the fence, has been put into a client context folder. I've renamed it fence, but this is just a client context folder. And it's really important that as much of your decorative art as possible is put into client context folders to save on performance. Because if something's in a client context folder and I'm in the area and somebody else is on their own farm, not in my area, the stuff in the client context folder won't load for them. If they come to visit me and we're both at my farm, then it'll load. But otherwise, only the people in the areas where that art is will load up, and that will help with your object count during runtime. Where we want to add these fox pens is in the backyard. That's just one of these. Okay, so we've just de-instanced this backyard, and we're going to add the fox pen here. This is sort of the gate where the player comes in. This is the little house. But to put the fox pen in a place that isn't going to be a problem with other objects, we need a little more information than that. So what we're going to have to do is put out the gatherables template and probably the static template for the backyard, just so that we can look at them while we place the fox pen, and then we can delete them again. So let's go find those. Let's find the backyard. The upgrade loader that actually is loading this is this one here, player lot object loader backyard, and you can see this same template as reference. So I'm just going to compare, make sure they're both positioned the same. So it looks like this should actually needs to be positioned just one higher. There we go. So that's how that piece looks. And then the other one that we need is the gatherables. So it's this one here. It's player farm backyard gatherable group debris. Again, that's being loaded up, but in this case, it's being loaded up through a reference in the database. It's this gatherable group ID that tells it the specific gatherable group to load up from the database. So in this case, what we need, I can quickly show you that actually. So if we go into database, we go into gatherables, we have gatherable groups. You can see backyard debris, and here's that template, backyard gatherable group debris. So that's what makes the connection between the code and this art. In our case, we just need this art temporarily so that we know where to put our fox pen. So I'm just going to drag this right into here, because this is where that object would spawn, right? It will spawn at the same location as this placeholder thing that has the gatherable group ID on it. All right, so I like the idea of putting the fox pen into one of these areas that needs to be purchased, so that the player has to purchase the area before they can start having foxes. So let's do that. Let's go get the fox pen, put it here, just rotate it around. It's not huge, so it's not too hard to find a home for this one. There we go, we have our little pen, but we have to make it part of this lot somehow, right? It has to load with something. Where I'm actually going to put it is into, remember that the template we pulled out that has this one here, the static template? So that's the one that has the ground patches and the walls in it. I think that would be a good place for this to load up. We could just give this thing its own object loader, but if we do it this way, then we don't have to make another object loader or anything. We can just put it right in here. Actually, before I do that, let's do one more part. If we de-instance this fox pen, there's some things that need to be done in order for this to know that it's a placeable area. It needs a custom property on it, on the part that has the dirt where you can place things, and it needs a script inside of it. So we're just going to go grab that from a place that we have it. Let's move our pet pen up so it's where we're working with everything else. So this is, we're inside of the player lot now. I wasn't going to put that in here quite yet, but since I dragged it up that high, it's fine. It's inside that player farm backyard static now. I've de-instanced it so we can add the script and the custom property I mentioned it to it. So to figure out what to add, we actually just wanted to add like this dirt and this grass, right? These are both the same kind of thing where you can place objects on them. And if we look at them, they have a custom property on them with a name on them. This one has grass, this one has dirt. So our fox pen, well, the yard inside is also going to need a custom property like that. So let's just copy the custom property from here and then rename it. So if we go copy properties right here, selecting either the dirt or the grass, then we click on the pet yard part of our little pen and we hit paste properties, scroll down and check just the one piece that we need. Now we don't want to call it dirt. The whole reason for making this yard is so that you can only put foxes here. And we're doing that as one of the limiters on how many foxes a player can own. Remember that animated meshes are kind of expensive. You don't want the player to be able to have hundreds of them. It would cause performance problems. Okay, so our pet yard is now called pet yard, but the other thing that these have is this right here. It's a placement area and it has a reference on it to its root, so which is this. So let's just copy that and paste it in with the actual dirts of our yard. And then this right here is still referring to where we copied it from. That's not what we want. We want it to be a reference to this, to the pet yard. So this pet yard is now, this part here, now has a custom property on it and a script inside of it that will make it allow the placement of objects that are looking for the area type pet yard, which we haven't actually used anywhere. But just the same, that's all you need to do to set it up and it's working. First we'll update the template on just the pet pen. And we've nested that inside player farm backyard static. Again, you don't have to do that. You could have loaded it with the object loader if you wanted. But I just put it inside of this, with this art so that I don't have to do anything else. I can just hit save and it'll be in everyone's yard. Let's just delete the gatherables so that you can see what I actually made it a part of, just so nobody's confused. So you can see the template that I'm putting this inside of is this one here, player farm backyard static. So if I make that invisible, you can see it takes the pet pen with it. So that's what I added it to. Now I'm going to update that template. One more step. I have to actually delete this. We don't want to leave this in the scene. Delete. Okay. So your backyard should all look like that again. This backyard, you can just either reset it to template or update the template just so it turns blue again. We didn't actually make any changes to the backyard itself, so we'll hit save and let's just hit play and see if everything's working as we expect. So this one's my farm. You'll notice up in the corner I gave myself extra money for testing, so I have more coins than you normally start with in farming. There's different ways to give yourself cheat items and stuff, but for now that was just easier. The reason that my hearts have a 2 currency is I actually did a test run of these videos before this, made sure I could do it, then ripped everything out again so that I would talking sensibly through this. So our pet pen is here. That's what we want, and our heart currency is showing up in the corner, also what we want, so we're good. We'll do the next part in the next video.